Well, hello again everyone, and we are out on hole 12. I've hit a cracking drive, but unfortunately I didn't take my advice of earlier on in the week, played it too far to the right, and I've hit the fairway bunker. So today's question comes from Steve Everest. Steve has asked me about trying to do a bunker lesson to get out to you all, and I'm going to take that one step further. We're going to do a bunker masterclass because today's bunker lesson is about fairway bunkers and also greenside bunkers. I'm not hitting any balls out here, so we'll just have to take it for granted that every shot I hit was perfect. But I'm going to show you some great technical stuff that will really help you get out of these bunkers when you should, and to gain the best distance that you can. So we're in the bunker. Walk to the back of the bunker, I assess what's in front of me, and that's my most important job, assessing what's in front of me. So now I can choose the right club to make sure that with a good strike I can get over the face and out onto the fairway. So I'm looking at this bunker. There's a fairly steep face, but also my ball has rolled back and I've come to rest at the bottom. It's not a bad lie. So I've decided on a club, and that club selection now, that's your choice. But you're going to select a club that will definitely get you out if you hit a proper shot. Let's not get the 3-wood out just yet. All to do with the face in front of you and assessing what's out there and how to play the shot. We're also going to have to be really careful as well about not hitting it from one bunker to another. So take out your laser, take aim. Here I've got 2 other bunkers to deal with in front of me, and I don't want to go in those. So I've lasered those. It's 104 yards to the face. Come back a little to be safe. Now I've got a safe club in my hand, pitching wedge. That'll be absolutely fine. I'm on a bit of an upslope. It'll go high, and I'm into the wind a bit. It's a safe club. Technically, when I'm in these bunkers now, I'll walk up to the ball, and remember, for fairway bunkers, you're always going to use a parallel stance. You don't need to open your stance. And the reason for that is because we're not encouraging you to make a steep swing. We're just trying to swing on a normal shallow plane so that we can clip the ball first. Remember, when I'm in a bunker making a steep swing, the angle of attack is always down. I don't want that swing in a fairway bunker. What I'm going to attempt to do is to swing the club low to the ground and just skim the sand as you come through the ball, cracking the back of that ball first, full loft of the club, and off it goes back down the fairway, gets you back into play. So lots of us, when we're playing these shots, will hit the sand too far behind, and there's lots of reasons for it, but we'll cover the majority of them right now. It's always a very disappointing result, so we want to try and get you to a point where you're contacting the ball really nicely all the time. So in this position here now, I'm going to take my stance, and I'm deliberately going to make my stance slightly wider. So get my feet slightly wider, and then I've wriggled my way down into the sand until I've found a solid base. I don't want to be on soft moving sand that's loose. I want to try and keep this nice and solid. So I've found the bottom now. I've wriggled my way down. My setup is parallel, and the club is behind the ball, and it's got enough loft to get me out. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to make my normal swing, but I'm going to make it with absolutely no weight transfer and no leg action whatsoever. So let's have a look and see what happens. I've got my weight in a position where it's almost 50-50 or even 60-40 on my left side, and I'm going to turn to the top without transferring any weight whatsoever, and I've kept my legs really still. So if I move myself too much around, this is why I catch the ground behind the ball and it goes nowhere. So I can make a full turn, but I'm going to try to keep my weight much more over the ball, much more left-sided, and now I can come through and I'm going to get myself into a position where I'm striking the ball dead on the back of the ball and out it goes. Remember, you've still got to make your 2 turns, and that's a very important point for trying to come forward. If you lean back like this and try to get yourself lifting the ball out, you're in all sorts of trouble. If you're on a big upslope, just remember at address, you're always going to have to try and balance yourself out. But then again, I've still leaned my weight forward slightly, but my shoulders have taken on the same contour so that I can actually work with the slope rather than against it. So I'm set up. Let's recap. Wriggle yourself down to the bottom of the sand, and remember, if you're in bunkers that have lots and lots of sand in them and you've gone down a considerable amount, 2-3 inches maybe, remember you now need to hold down the handle the same amount that your feet went down into the sand. That is absolutely crucial. So I've gone down an inch here, let's say half an inch, so I've deliberately held down a bit. Now, knees apart, legs absolutely still, no movement of the legs, bang, and out the ball goes, back down the fairway, full yardage, but in play, ready to play the next shot to the green. Now we'll go and have a look at some greenside bunker stuff. Take away with you this, you can practice this obviously when you're on your own on the golf course. A little bit of a tricky one to practice around the clubhouse, but get some practice done when you're on your own in the golf course if you go in a fairway bunker. Now let's move to a greenside bunker and see what the differences are when I'm playing those greenside bunker shots. Well, here I am, bunker masterclass. Found myself at the bottom of this great big bunker with a massive face here on hole 13, right hand side. So this is where we're going to carry on going now, but now we're in the greenside bunker. We need to play the shot in a completely different way, and it's up to us to now change our setup to do just that. So we're going to have a close inspection of what's going on with that setup right now. If you're new to the club, you've now realized that we have many challenges when it comes to the bunkers and the difficulty in getting out of these bunkers with the faces being so tall. So we've got to really try to understand what in fact gets the ball out successfully and how we're going to actually achieve some distance on those shots when they do come out, because sometimes we need 20-30 yards. So really important to cover all aspects of actually getting the balls out of these big face bunkers, but not only that, getting them out the right distance as well. So we have a fictitious ball in the bunker here, as you can see, and I'm going to point you in the right direction of the flag. So I'm going to make a nice arrow in the sand, and this represents the direction to the flag. And I may have to come out of the bunker and stand and have a look and see whether or not I can actually see the pin, because I'm so low versus the green. So I've been able to see the pin. I've gauged it against a tree in the background, and now I know where to go. So here we are. If the ball's on the upslope, it's actually helped me a little bit, but often here now the ball runs all the way back down close to the back slope, and that is really when we're going to get some huge problems going on, because we've got a slight lip at the back, but it can also run back off there into a playable position, and we'll go through that one in a second. So from this position, I've actually stopped a little bit on the upslope, so I don't really need to add much loft to my 58-degree club. So again, I'll take my setup wider than normal to give me a base. Look how much I've had to scrunch down into the sand. It's a lot softer in this bunker. And now I'm in a position where, because I've gone down a good inch or so, what are we doing? We're holding down the club the same amount that I went down into the sand. I found my hard base and I'm in position. Now, I haven't had to open the club face. That means I don't need to adjust the position of my stance. I can stand with my feet parallel, and here we go. Now, you'll always notice with me that I address the ball much, much higher than most. So because we're not allowed to touch the sand as we address the ball or make a backswing, what we've actually got to do is to keep the club hovered above the ground. So I don't keep the club hovered above the ground like this. I actually lift the club up this much. Now, because of that lift, my starting point for my swing is steeper. It's already on a higher plane than the ground. And from here, I'm going to try to pick the golf club up as quickly as I can as I turn, so that the journey of the club head is on a very steep down angle towards the ball. So in the fairway bunker instance, I wanted to stand parallel and take the club back low to the ground and sweep the shot without catching the sand. But here, this is completely different. I need to now create a steeper backswing so that I'm pulling the butt of the club down towards my left shoe, bang, and then I'm hitting the sand down. So the reason for that is because it's not me contacting the ball that gets the ball to come out. It's me contacting the sand. And that's a crucial part of understanding the difference between fairway bunker shots and greenside bunker shots. So you'll see in this instance here that I want to make a nice contact with the sand about an inch behind, and then as I go into the sand, the journey of the club is downwards, not upwards, okay? It's going to go down first, then the bounce of the club, the back of the club, as I explained to Gary's question in the week, down it comes, the bounce takes over as it glides through the sand, and then it'll come out. My primary objective is to remove the sand from an inch behind the ball, and I'm going to remove it onto the green or out of the bunker at least. Let's have a look and see if I can do that now. Remember, I've wiggled in, not so much open, haven't changed the position of the club face much. I'm set up, my weight is a little bit on my left side. I've made that steep swing back, and now the club, the journey of the club is back down, so it's going in a downward action, hits the sand, and the sand takes the ball out, or the ball comes out on a cushion of sand. Let's have a go. Hover high, and there we go. So I've really made a conscious effort to get my club and arms up, down into the sand. Sand's been removed onto the green, and the ball's gone out on a cushion of sand, and it's a lovely shot which has given me a putt for a par. Let's have a look at that in slow motion now, and have a look and see how I've achieved that downward strike so I can come down into the sand. I'll move back a little bit now. Okay, we're going to have a closer look at the sand now at impact, and we're going to have a look and see what happens right down there. Let's get the nitty-gritty of what's going on at contact, and we'll see how that ball is actually moved. Okay, so I'm going to use this little flower here as an example now of what happens when we try to get the ball up and we don't lean back and try to scoop it. No, in actual fact we do the opposite, we hit down. So here's the golf club here, it travels back on that steep position. Now as it arrives, let's draw the line in the sand. So the club arrives and it hits that line, And as it hits that line, it goes down into the sand. And as it's gone down into the sand, take a look at the flower. The flower is beginning to move as the sand climbs up the face, and as it goes in, and the bounce now starts to deliver. And look at the sand on the face, and that sand has shifted that out, and that's exactly what we need to do when we're in this bunker. Okay, so the principles of how the ball is actually taken out of the bunker have been shown to you there with this little clip of me hitting the sand and that flower being moved by the sand as it was taken by the club, and the sand went up the face and out it came. So remember, I described there that we don't want to be doing this. Your job is to create this line. How do you get the golf club to swing down so steeply? This is not like your driver, it's a short club. It goes up and then it must come down. If we take these steps a little bit further, and in practice you can do this, and what we do then to gain more loft, I mean, this club's 58 degrees and you can buy sand wedges up to 64 degrees and they will help you obviously from a square setup. But if you're like me and someone who likes to tinker in the bunkers, likes to play different shots of different trajectories, and certainly here I'm faced with a shot that needs to go up and up very quickly. So this time I'm going to add loft because I've decided that I'm down in a poor lie and I need to get myself into a position where the balls need to go up even faster. So what I'm going to do in this situation is I'm going to gauge how much I'd like to open the face by moving my feet a set distance to the left. So I've now changed the direction of my swing, and just like we did on the lesson on draws and fades, I'm pointing the club face in a different position to my alignment. So it's open to my alignment, or looking to the right of my alignment. So my feet are left, and now what I do is that under a normal situation the club face would be looking down here. But watch what I'm going to do now. I'm going to turn the club face, so now the writing on the handle is actually facing you guys right there. I've held down as much as I needed to for how much I've gone down into the sand, which in this instance is a couple of inches, and the leading edge is now looking at the hole. The face is looking at the hole, but look where my feet are. So all I'm going to do now is to swing back and through on the line of my feet, but as you can see the club face is looking to the right of that swing, and I've added loft by opening the face like that. So of course now the ball's going to take off much higher. So this is how we get the ball up very quickly. It's up to you how to practice that really, because you need to really get into a practice bunker and practice altering the club face and on the position of your feet, because this will feel really awkward because you're making a swing which is on a very unnatural line to you. You're normally used to taking your swing back across the line of your toes, etc, etc, but that is in effect what we're actually trying to do here. So remember, feet left. Now the more left, the more you open the face. A little bit left, open the face just a little bit, and you're going to gauge how much you're going to need to do that by what's in front of you. Remember that that's the key, you know, to getting the ball out at the right trajectory. Okay, so anything that wants to go higher, open the feet first, rotate the club face until it points at the target. Now take your grip, make the swing along the line of your feet, but remember, you're still swinging up steep and coming down into the sand. And if you can remove the sand from an inch behind the ball out onto the green, you are really in business. Now we'll have a look at one of those evil positions you're walking up to a bunker and you notice that your ball has run perilously close to the back edge. Well, my tee shot just missed the green, caught the slope, ran down into the bunker, and it's run all the way through the sand and come to rest right against the back edge. So this is a really, really difficult one now, because my ball, for instance, is now actually on a slight downslope, and I've got to get the ball up so quickly. First and most important thing to ask yourself straight away, is this shot playable? Okay, is it playable? Because if it isn't playable, then I just need to turn myself to this side here and just play a small bunker shot out into a safer area and then carry on my hole. Don't even attempt it if you think it's just impossible. You may just be too close to the lip. The face may just be too tall. You may not have that shot in your armory. Play safe, carry on. It will save you a shot if you make a good decision in this position. But here, I actually think I've got the tools to do this. So let's have a little crack and let's see what we can actually do to get your ball out on the green and maybe save a par. So the ball has arrived and it's here. It's on a downslope and it's stopped very close to the back edge. So what I've got to do in this position here now is that I need to turn myself into that slope. So the first thing I'm going to do is to get my foot onto the back edge of the bunker, and that's made my right side much higher. And as you can see, it's already started to put weight onto my back foot. Now, if you're playing a links course and the back faces up here, then of course you can't do that anyway. But certainly at Tandridge, you're going to be able to do this, and to get myself right back onto that slope, or even just on the slope there, I can stand out the bunker, and of course from there as well I also get a much firmer push from my right side if my foot is actually on the grass. So now, as you can see, by me having a taller right side, it's making me lean onto my left, and my shoulders have emulated the angle of the bank that's behind me. Because remember, if I try to approach this from a normal swing set position, the backswing is too shallow and the backswing will catch the bunker without fail. So how do I now go about that now? Foot on the back of the bunker, weights on my left side. Look how I've tipped myself forwards, and I'm addressing it at such an angle that I now know that my backswing can definitely come up and past that slope. So remember that my tip about hovering the club here will help, but you've also got to remember hovering is fine because you can come out, but you've also now got to go down and get yourself to the bottom of that ball. So that's a question of having a couple of little practice swings, a couple of practice motions to see if you can do it. Let's have a look and see. We're going to pretend the ball is sort of here. There, I hover. Look how much I'm leaning on my left. I've got my angle of my shoulders sloped. So up it goes and down onto that spot. Up it goes, down onto that spot. Okay, let's try and play the shot now. Let's see how we can get on from here. We're going to go back into that stance, have a look and see how we can actually get to the bottom of this ball. Horrendous position, but we're going to make it work. Foot's on the back. I'm leaning onto my left side, as you can see there. Weights on my left, well forward. Up we go. Let's go now. Up it goes, down and into the sand. And that ball, believe it or not, has just come out and it's on the green. It may not be close to the flag, but it's certainly given me the great escape. So we have bunkers, but we have so many variations of what goes on in a bunker. There are lots and lots of them. It's up to you to try to practice these things, the various different ways that we're going to get out of bunkers. So I'm going to have a recap with you now on the most important things that we've looked at in today's bunker masterclass. Today's bunker masterclass has covered 3 different types of shots at least when you're in a bunker, and I hope now you've actually got really some kind of an idea what you should be practicing and what you can put into practice on the golf course. So going back first of all to our fairway bunker shot, what was important? Well, first of all, take a club to get you out of the bunker. If you take something that will hit the face no matter what, you're in big trouble. Number 2, wriggle your feet to the bottom of the sand, and the amount that you go down into the bottom of the sand is the amount you hold down the handle. Very important. In swing, we keep our lower body absolutely still. It doesn't mean that you're not turning, it means that you're not transferring your weight. So I'm set up with a slightly wider stance and my legs remain absolutely solid with no real weight transfer. And I create my swing by making as much turn as I can and keeping my weight as still as possible. This will keep you centered and it will allow you to crack that ball right on the back of the ball and send it up the fairway. Secondly, we've come into the greenside bunker and we've described how to play a regular shot with a regular club face position. Stance dug in, hold the club the amount that you've dug down into the sand, point the club face at the target with the feet parallel to the club, swing up as steeply as you can, and remember the line of the club now is down towards the ball, into the sand 1 inch behind, and remove all of that sand and throw it out onto the green. You were easily led in terms of that backswing line because I asked you to hover the club well above the ground. The higher you start, the more up you can swing and then get the sensation that you're traveling down into the sand. Very, very important, because we don't want to be feeling as if we're raising up and leaning back trying to lift, because that won't help at all. By demonstrating what's gone on in the back of the bunker, what I can show you there is that with each bunker that you go in, you must make sure that your shoulders are perpendicular to the slopes, and that will allow you to swing and contact in the right place. In the back of the bunker, we had to create a false setup by me placing my foot up onto the back slope, leaning considerably on my left side to generate a much steeper backswing, so I could come down, missing that slope at the back, contacting the sand just behind the ball, and out it came. I would also use a very open club face to play that shot, because remember, coming off a downslope, it's hard to get the ball up really, really quickly. So there are certain keys that we've learned today that you can put into practice on the green that we have down on the practice green area. And of course, if you've come out and you've had a little bit of time after work and you find yourself in one of the bunkers, try to play these shots in different fashions and you'll learn so much more about what will be successful and what will not be. I also talked a little bit earlier as well about the different distances that you'll be hitting those shots. So the key to those, of course, is the speed that you contact the sand. If you contact the sand 1 inch behind all the time, you'll find yourself in an absolutely perfect position virtually every time. So that's it for today. Thanks very much for your questions, Steve, on bunkers. We've turned it into a bit of a masterclass, and I hope you've all been able to pick up something that you can take to your game and improve your scores.